Hey guys, welcome to another Dev Hangout. Today, lots and lots to share with you. We'll be starting by holding a discussion on the gameplay overhaul. I posted a topic in the forum earlier this week with all of the items. So we'll be looking at a very early prototype of some of that in terms of, let's see, it'll be the changes to the way that resource gathering happens. And we'll dive in and have a look at that. And then we'll do some questions and answers. And later in the show, we'll be revealing a new editor tool, which I'll come to at the appropriate time. So let's go ahead and just fire up the game. I'll jump into the campaign, which is a work in progress. Just a reminder that this is the internal dev build that we are sharing, so things may go wrong, there may be bugs. Well, there are definitely bugs, because I was testing it earlier. Let's turn down the music. And let's just jump past this. So if you've got any questions, then please feel free to ask me in chat, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Our town is under attack.
First of all, to just take care of these guys. So the first thing that we changed, minor thing, this is the highlighting. So I wasn't happy that it was all kind of like deliberately blurry around the edges, so we've just sort of sharpened it up a little bit. And there's a reason for that, which I'll come on to shortly, in terms of collectibles. Okay, speak to my food and brie.
Nothing to see here.
Okay. All right, so
ready to serve.
Let's go ahead.
Yes,
Oh dear, I lost a villager. That's not great. We should be getting some more.
How can I help?
Let's place a supply wagon down.
Construction
Something to
completed.
do?
Go ahead.
Right away.
Start by getting some berries. So the first aspect, let's just go down, that I want to discuss is the changes to the way that resource gathering
New
is
villagers
done.
have arrived.
Felt that the game wasn't tactile enough. There wasn't enough interaction with the environment. So what we're doing now is we're changing the way
Our
that
village has attracted
trees are felled.
new
So
settlers.
trees are felled on the first visit by a woodcutter or peasant to the tree, which you've just seen there, and you'll see that possibly not great because we've got bushes everywhere. But when this Jocelyn fells this tree, then it'll actually pop out some logs, several logs, depending on her level. And I'll talk about that. So a peasant, when they fell a tree, should get one log, one of these logs. And what I can actually do now is I can send...
Okay.
Oh, she's going to go and get another one. She's going to go and pick up this one. So I can send villagers to go and collect things that are in both in the wilderness and around the village. So that'll be things like logs, iron ore deposits, stone, but also things like beehives and seeds and things like that. Now, so a level 1 peasant, if you send a peasant to chop down a tree, they will only ever get one log. A level 1 woodcutter will get 2, so they're instantly better, so it's worth training a woodcutter. Now, woodcutters, I will just
What would you have me do?
Kenny.
Standing ready.
Mine is to obey. He comes and attacks the village rather quickly.
Right away.
Just because it's test.
Arm yourselves. Say hello to my little soul.
Okay, so I'll just leave them taking care of business. Watch him out. Freddie, he's on the question. He's on the questions. Don't bombard me. I'll address questions. If you can make questions about what we're seeing on the screen, that would be great. Okay, so
Heading out.
I talked about so they can collect things like seeds and stuff like that, and that will affect. There will be requirements in construction. So now that I've taken care of Freddy, what I want to do is
Ready for battle.
Some resources. There's a stack of resources over here, and then I will set to work building a windmill. So let's construct our windmill here, and put some fields down, because the way fields work is also changing. Let's put it there. Get rid of those. Okay, so a level 1 woodcutter gets 2 logs. That's what I was talking about. They will acquire XP and level up. They will gain essentially, as they gain XP, they will also unlock traits, and traits for the woodcutter will be the woodcutting trait. Now, when the woodcutter reaches the next level, they will become an apprentice
Building completed.
woodcutter, and that will increase the drops. So instead of dropping 2 logs, they will then drop 3 logs, and they will so on and so forth until the woodcutter reaches level 5 or 6, and they become a master woodcutter, and then they'll get several logs dropped. So as your characters level up, they get better at gathering resources. So that's the first change. How are we doing on? Okay, I'll just wait for these fields to be built.
Construction completed. A building has been constructed.
All right, good.
Standing firm.
Let's get a couple of farmers. Okay. We're going to have to wait for the fields to build, but now fields are segmented into 4, and each one of those segments can then be harvested individually. Now, they clear that segment of the wheat, and then you get a number of wheat bushels left, which can then be collected and returned to the windmill. Now, a master farmer will get more bushels, so a greater yield from a patch of wheat than a level 1 apprentice.
Our villagers need vegetables in their diet.
Farm. And we should see that soon. So we'll set to work. Now, while we're waiting for that, we'll also build herbalist.
Our villagers need more meat and fish in their diet.
Let's see if we can squeeze it in there somewhere. Okay, and put another field down for the herbalist. And cotton. Alright, let's go over here. Build a couple of cotton fields. Alright, great. So now that that's taken care of that. No, not as in 4 different crops grown in the same field. So a field still grows the same crop. You can see it here. This is growing wheat. Will you get more yield from rotating crops? No. Okay, carrots are growing. It's going to take a little while those better set them. Of course, what I haven't done is set them to
Building completed.
grow herbs. Alright, so I'll do that now. And set these to grow cotton. Okay, so soon this field can be worked. Now, a field can be worked at the same time by multiple farmers, and we might get to see that. In fact, we will see it. I think we've only got one peasant. I guess I can demote some of these woodcutters. Okay, so here we go. Settle the screen down. We've got two farmers now working in the field. So you can potentially have up to 4 farmers clearing a field. Alright, so you see then,
Crops be sown.
this is a level 2 farmer, and he got, how many did he get? 2 bushels a week or 3 bushels a week? I'll have to check.
Yes, my dear.
She. Level 2. Okay. As I say, it's still work in progress at the moment, so they seem to get an extra bushel. And then they come and collect the bushels. Now, I could actually have multiple farmers clearing a section of land.
Building completed.
They're now working 2 fields. Alright, so they're still constructing that. Now he's gone to work the carrot field now. So the carrot field is the same, so they're in 4 now. We'll use a basket of herbs at the moment because we haven't got the basket of carrots prop ready just yet. So we should see that when she clears these carrots, and animation-wise, it might not be the right animation either. Okay, so
How can I help?
being a level 2 farmer, she gets 2 baskets of carrots, and they can be then cleared.
A building has been constructed.
Hello, Jackinator. Thanks for joining us.
Construction completed.
Okay. Let's see how they're doing. This field has been worked, so this farmer is gathering resources. So Muriel has come and collected one of the bushels and will return it to the windmill. Alright, so let's go ahead and train
Yes, Petal.
a herbalist and a weaver.
Your wish.
It's going to take us a while for those to grow. Okay, so that's leveling of professions. Beyond, once a character acquires a master trait, so they're a master woodcutter or a master farmer, they can still carry on leveling, but they will just get attribute points, so they will just become stronger and increase their survivability. So there are only 5 levels, or is it 4 levels? Well, 5 levels, and then you basically max out the yield that you can get from a tree. We did consider staggering it, so there are a maximum of 20 possible levels, character levels, and we thought, all right, okay, well, if there are, I don't know, 4 or 5, say 4 levels of trait, then we could unlock it every 5 levels. But we wanted to reward the player as soon as possible, really. So it didn't make sense to stagger them in that fashion because you get no reward for leveling up your characters, and you really need them to level up early on. So at the start of gameplay, the experience gains and the traits gained by your characters will be important, and then later in gameplay, the research will become important. things growing. So the cotton fields are cleared in the same way. So in quarters, and then depending on the level of the weaver, their yield of cotton will change accordingly. Okay. Let's see what else is on the list. I'll just put that into screen mode. Okay, let's talk about research since we're on that subject. We're changing the way that research happens. So at the moment, the way that research happened, where are we, is that first of all, you would have to have enough culture points. So that will remain the same. So that staggers research, essentially. It will cost gold, but instead... so at the moment, sorry, research is progressed by workers arriving and delivering resources to the building. Now that's a problem with the barracks, the storehouse, and the workshop, in that they don't have deliveries. Well, apart from the storehouse. So at the moment, research is broken on those. So what we're doing is that research will be automatically progressed. So it will just start, the progress bar will start going along. Now, in production buildings, you can speed up that research by the more workers you have assigned to a building, if you want to complete it more quickly. So that's a simplification, essentially, but it just makes more sense. It makes it easier for players to just instantly grasp research and the spending of gold, and gold becomes more important, and so trade will become more important. All right, how are we doing? How are we looking? Okay, here we go. We can see that the herbalist, no, not the herbalist, the weaver has started to clear this field. Not working the other field, I don't know. And
our supply of bread is running low.
Is being cleared of cotton. I don't know where he or she has gone, but they will come back shortly and carry on. Okay, now another thing that I wanted to change is access to buildings. At the moment, you can pretty much have access to everything. And there's not enough sense of achievement. It's not like you're unlocking buildings. It's just basically relies on resources. So we're going to be changing that as well. For example, fields. Before I can build a wheat field, I will need to go out into the wild and explore, and I will find a patch of wild wheat, which will look a bit like this. But that will generate wheat seeds. So one of the requirements, if I just hover over, so a field at the moment requires 25 planks, but it will also require 4 wheat seeds per field. So that instantly changes the order in which you may build things, because as you're exploring a map for the first time, obviously you won't know where the different seeds might be found. So it may be that you find a different seed. You might find like carrot seeds first, so you get to grow a carrot field. And that's going to give you a greater chance of, a greater sense of achievement, because you've actually gone out, you've explored, and you've received a reward for doing that, which is access to wheat. Now, another way that we can, let me think. Okay, I mean, we may also limit it by culture as well. Will you change the UI a little, since the current seems a bit messy? Which particular bit? The construction options, Freddie. Can you just clarify that, please? Okay. Actually, I want to see them clear. Oh, there we go. So there we've got the baskets of cotton on the ground. And
Yes, my dear?
Eleanor, yeah, will come and clear these baskets of cotton off the ground. Or if I had multiple weavers, they would come and clear those as well. Now let's talk about some of the buildings. So wheat will require wheat seeds. A wheat field will require wheat seeds. A cotton field will require cotton seeds. A herbs field will require herb seeds. A bee yard will require. Let me think about this. It will require a beehive that you will find out in the wild. Now, a beehive also drops honey, and honey will become, or honeycomb will become, a consumable, so you'll be able to eat that as well as using it in brewing. There's no short-term plans to change the UI for this, although it will be changing slightly, obviously, to accommodate the new field types. Okay. Now, in terms of, I was talking about beehives dropping a honeycomb in the wild, so you'll be able to collect the beehives, and then that will be one of the requirements for you to build a bee yard. And then you'll be able to generate your own honeycomb. Honeycomb, as I say, can be consumed as a food by peasants or used in brewing. Now, another thing that we're doing is the needs system. So the needs system in the game at the moment is difficult to balance. It's confusing for players. It can be difficult to make your peasants happy. So we've scrapped it. We are going to adopt a model based on overall village happiness. And in the civics menu, you will see a breakdown of what your happiness score is. So if your village is unhappy, then villagers will eventually start leaving. If they are happy, then the rate at which new villagers arrive will be affected by the level of happiness. And then you'll get a breakdown. So for example, taxes may have a positive or negative effect on overall happiness. Rationing, which I will come to shortly. Let's move it over onto a different field. So rationing will have again a positive or negative effect. Things like sickness, although that's not really implemented properly at the moment. Crime, which isn't implemented. Variety of food. So the more food types of food that they have access to will get you a positive bonus. So if they're only eating carrots, then you'll get no happiness bonus. But if you've actually got a full range of, you've got honeycomb, you've got bread, you've got fish, you've got meat, then that variety will give a bonus to overall happiness. Now, if your village is unhappy, then that obviously increases the risk also of rebellion, which eventually, if people get that angry with you, they'll start setting your buildings on fire and running around the streets with burning torches. That's the plan anyway. Okay. So, yeah, the needs system is now gone. We've talked about research, and let's talk about ecology, because I talked about bee yards and the fact that, sorry, not bee yards, beehives, and the fact that beehives drop honeycomb. Now, we're giving, if you remember spiders have dens that can be attacked, and if you don't attack them, then they will keep getting more and more monsters, and eventually they start attacking you. Now, in a similar sort of way, we'll also be adding dens for bears, boars, rabbits, and wolves. And this is part of the ecology. So bears will seek out beehives to get the honeycomb. But if you've taken all of the beehives to make bee yards, then bears are going to start trying to find your bee yards to get at the honey. Sorry. So that's going to cause you a problem. and then you're going to start getting bears wandering into your village. Rabbits, similarly, rabbits will live in burrows, which you can attack and destroy. And rabbits will seek out carrots. So carrots will be in the wilderness. And if you take all of the carrots to eat, then they will start looking for your carrot fields. So again, you've got a problem there. Wolves will seek out rabbits. So if you destroy the rabbits, then you've broken the food chain. So wolves will then start looking for other sources of food, which perhaps could be boars, or it could be your villagers. All right. So there's a whole cause and effect aspect that we're implementing with ecology. And that should come reasonably soonish, hopefully. Reasonably soonish, yeah. Okay, let me just read a couple of questions. All right, Freddie, we'll talk about UI another time, I think. Chances are that we'll come up with another system, but it's not likely to change anytime soon. All right, so let me just zoom out again, zoom down, see what else we've got. Happiness, talked about. Right, okay, I said I'd talk about rationing, so let's talk about rationing. Rationing is going to be a way of controlling how much food, firewood, I've forgotten what the other things are now. Yeah, food, firewood, mead, and clothing that your villagers are able to consume. So if you've got a lot of something, then you might feel, if you've got a lot of food, for example, you might feel generous and say, right, you can have quadruple rations. And that means that they'll eat a lot more, but you'll also get a happiness boost from that. But obviously, they're consuming a lot more. Conversely, if you're running low on food, you can then ration them to either, like, say, half or quarter rations, and then they'll actually consume less. But that is going to have a negative impact on villager happiness. But it will give you a short-term solution to if they're eating too much food. Firewood as well. So if they're burning too much firewood, you could ration them on that, but of course they're going to get cold, so that is going to lead to a slight negative effect on happiness. And again, mead, you can ration mead so that at least everybody gets a little something, and they will be sliders that you will be able to set along with taxation. And then on the right hand side of the civics panel, it will give you the breakdown of your overall villager happiness. All right, so lots of changes coming. Making good progress on the changes to the resource harvesting. Needs have been completely replaced now, so it's just a matter of hooking up the UI for villager happiness. And then we can start to look at things like in the wild, which are the seeds and the beehives. And we can get those in. And yeah, I think those changes are going to make it a lot more tactile and a lot more interactive, because as you're exploring the wilderness, you'll find things on the ground that you'll be able to pick up, and then they will enable you to unlock buildings. Okay. So when do you know you need more? Will it still trigger a notice of too little? Carrots. Yes, it will. So if you're running low on food, be that bread or whatever, you'll still receive a notification. So as map creators, we'll be placing this wild wheat, wild carrots, beehives. Yes, you will need to place those. We'll try and extend the terrain generator so that it creates them reasonably close to the starter area as well. Yeah, so everything counts as food, but the more variety you have, the greater the happiness. Okay. You don't necessarily need more variety, Freddie. It may be that you are a low taxation economy, and that's enough. And a low, maybe you've got, I don't know, loads and loads of carrots, say for example, but also low taxes. That may be enough for a happy village. You know, there are all sorts of different ways of playing then. Oh, some of the things that also will affect happiness is lashing and rewarding. So obviously, lashing, you will get a penalty for that on your happiness, and rewarding, you may get a bonus to happiness. All right, so while I'm in this map, let's grab Sir Gregory.
Mine is to obey. I stand ready.
You guys as well.
Double time.
I'll just send them over there, and we'll come back once they've run all that way. Okay, so you guys got any questions on that? I did post it in the forum earlier in the week, so hopefully you've had a chance to mull it over. What I wrote in the forum, some of it's not technically accurate, so in terms of the way that fields work, I think I described that differently, and literally in the last day we reviewed it and we decided that it's a better approach to do it as we've done it. Well, that's interesting, because that field is saying it's at 100%. This may be a bug that I've just found. So it's saying that the field is at 100%, and yet there's no cotton. Just can't see it. Oh, there is. Okay. She's not collected it all yet. I guess we should change the status. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so I've also been doing some level design this week to get the
as you come
get the aggro. I may have to cheat here because I haven't balanced it. Cheated yet, at least. Oh, well, damn it. Alright, I'm not going to be able to show you. I'm going to have to keep this guy alive.
Who are you? Who are you?
Yeah, so at the moment I've just placed some zombies down, and it's not really fully being play tested. It's obviously a bit difficult at the moment.
Settlers have
Okay,
arrived,
so yeah,
looking
I'm
for
working
fresh stuff.
on the monastery. So the desecrated monastery. So this is where you will find. You'll go in and you'll go down into Mordric's factory. So just be modelling that. Now we are tweaking the cemetery kit. It was one of the first kits that we did, and it wasn't. We've obviously learned as we learned more and how to make kits more usable as development has progressed. So we're now going back and making sure that everything snaps together properly. So there will potentially be some breaking changes. For example, there are some stairs in the cemetery kit that are very narrow. They will be removed. So it'll affect us because it'll affect on the sandbox grasslands map. We're going to have to remake that area. It will potentially break your maps as well. So just be aware of that. I think we're going to try, we'll probably save pieces, but we'll just hide them from the kit list. So it may not break your map, but you should probably remove those pieces because we're not using those pieces because of how it feels. It's just too narrow to get a group of an adventuring party through there. So it's just something to be aware of. Oh, I've got a little bit of flicker there. We're also making some more pieces for the cemetery kit, so we're going to get some different alcoves and some windows, different sort of tinted windows.
Away I go.
Right, so that's a work in progress there. Unfortunately, Sir Gregory died, so but I think what I will do is I will hack in revival. So if he dies, he will come back, I don't know, 30 seconds later in your village. Over here. To make that a little bit easier. Alright, so let's go ahead now and jump in to the editor and take a look at the new tools. I'm going to the map designer. Open existing. I'm just going to open Sandbox and create new. Now, before the question gets asked, no, the bug isn't about load save isn't fixed yet, but it will be. It's got high priority, so it will be fixed. Okay, so I want to go into the editor. I'll just move up. I'm going to pull up the terrain generator. And let's give it a few levels. Tell it to create a map, so we've got something to work with. Now, if you have been following the forum, you may remember that I mentioned that terrain sculpting was a feature that we were exploring. It was in R&D. We were working on a prototype. At that stage, I wasn't convinced that it was going to be usable and be something that we could include. I am pleased to say that today it is something that we're going to include, and I'm going to be able to show you right now, in fact. So with our generated terrain, it's not particularly hilly, so let's go ahead now and change it into a crater. So I'm going to go up and enable terrain sculpting. I'm just going to say which biome we're in, so we're using the grasslands kit. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab some of the terrain. And let's break this. Oh. Let's break that down, make it look a bit more natural. This is very straight, so I can break that down. Okay, I'll make it look very, very natural. With rivers, if we actually increase it, it potentially can remember everything. Now, alright, let's find a relatively flat bit. So with just a small change, it obviously affects tiles close to it, but as you get bigger, it obviously potentially affects a lot more tiles. So it can be become a lot slower. So, I mean, that's a major change to a piece of terrain. I can't find a bit really where we can go down the other way. All right. Now, you've got to remember that it's a tile-based terrain system. It's not just a mesh where you're tweaking individual values. So it's not completely perfect, but that's because we don't have every possible tile permutation. But you can very quickly see that you can realize some nice designs like that. Looks very natural, without having to actually go in and move around individual tiles, which of course you can still do. Let's go ahead and find our river. Now what we can do is we can actually sculpt rivers as well. So if I hold down shift, I can then click on these transparent dots, and I can say, I can put a constraint on. So I say, right, this tile has to be a river. That as well, and I can keep going. And now, if I, oops, I've got to just fire that up again. Let's lock the terrain. Re-enable sculpting. And now it will, where possible, keep our constraints. So you can tell it to, you're basically saying that you can't change this tile from what I set it to be. So I might say that this one has to be a cliff or a ramp or whatever, and it will keep that constraint. So I could say, I could branch here. So let's say I want this tile to be a river. Oh, okay. Just something I expected there. Now, everything is written into the undo queue, so Control Z will undo it and restore what you had before. I wonder if it's because that piece there. Let's try again. Okay. Oops, I did it again. Okay, it doesn't really give me the effects that I want, but no, I don't know what happens if I change this to be a river as well. So you can see that it's a river because it's changed to blue. So it's going to take a little bit of experimenting with. Oops. You can see there that it's keeping the river. It's actually got some time. I'd have to delete some of the props there. So yeah, it's you know, if I want a ridge, oops. Then it's very quick to actually do that. There we go. Now, how long would that taken to actually model by hand? And literally in seconds I've done it, and then I can go in and I can actually tweak it, make it look a little bit more natural. Okay, I like that. Not so fond of this corner here, so let's just soften that down. Okay, and then even though I've sculpted it, we can still go into the terrain generator and I can go, say I wanted a lot more trees on this map, so I can go to trees, let's increase the value quite a lot, go to rebuild, and then I can tell it what I want it to rebuild. So in this case I want it to keep, maybe I'm not happy with the painting, so I'll let it change the paints, but I want everything else kept the same. But I want more trees on there. So it will remember the sculpting that I've done on the map. And remember there was a ridge that I built in the center, this here. And then it will go ahead and it will regenerate my detail for me. So now we have a very natural looking. And then I can go in and I can carry on sculpting. So we were very impressed when Alan completed this, and we were obviously, yeah, it's a very, very cool feature for content creators. So that will be in the next patch release. Well, I'm getting carried away now. I want to keep I want to keep experimenting with it. Yeah, very natural looking, and then we can change. I don't know if that's probably not able to resolve that. So constraints may not always work because there's not a valid piece. The reason why it won't work is because this is a curving piece. if I change, oops, if I change this, it would probably remember that it was. No, it's not going to remember it. Okay, not to worry. Alright, so let's go ahead. And we can completely resculpt. We can have a massive mountain. Oh. It doesn't seem... Oh, it's had to raise up a lot of tiles to do that. There we go. Now, there are also some other shortcuts. I'm still getting my head around all of them. I believe that if you hold down Alt, is it? No, not Alt, maybe it's Control. And you raise... No, maybe it's not Control at all. Yeah, Control raises it to the highest level that's around, so let's just check that. Alright. So if you hold Control, if I let Control go, it'll let me do it higher. But if I hold down Control, it will match it to the maximum height in the local area. So that's kind of handy for just flattening areas. So if I just want to flatten all this, I've got Control held down. And you can see that it's matching it to the maximum height in the local area, basically on this grid. So that's another feature. Yeah, so the workflow in terms of creating a new map is use the terrain generator, sculpt, possibly regenerate and tweak like your details, so the amount of trees, shrubs, that sort of thing, and then get down to your hand modeling and hand placement. I haven't tried it. I mean, let's go ahead now and load in another map. So in fact, let's go ahead and see what happens if I haven't tested this. So it's going to be interesting seeing what destruction and havoc it causes. This could be a fatal mistake. Well, okay. So it does raise up props. So just be mindful of that. I suppose what I could do... this all looks like it's one level higher now. There we go. This is roughly back to... I suppose what I could do is I could hold down Control and I could make everything the same height. Alright, well, I've well and truly broken that. So that's why, really, you've got to be happy with your terrain. Well, actually, I mean, that said, I did come in and sculpt some of this after. I mean, and it doesn't affect any of this map. So how I'm tending to work is I start on an area and I'll add all the detail into that area, and then these areas, so this area is reserved for the Withering Dead and this area is reserved for the Glade Folk, but I haven't started sculpting this area over here yet. Now I can actually go in and I can do that and it won't affect any of the other areas that I've touched. So you still have the ability to be able to do that. I think if you have, let's try this. So if you manually create, oh, hang on. How do you escape from? How do you escape from this mode? What was I doing before? I was just sort of clicking somewhere, wasn't I? But it doesn't seem to be disabling it now. I wonder if that's a bug. I can't remember how I was disabling it before. Okay, I can't seem to get out of terrain sculpting mode. All right, let's go back. Let's go back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a specific tree. So let's go ahead, because this map was generated with, it started off with terrain generation. All right, so let's look at this tree here. So let's go to terrain generation. I can't rebuild it because I've exited out and come back in again. So you have to do, it's best to do that in a session in terms of defining how much coverage of foliage and trees and things like that that you want. Hey, Trem. All right, so very cool feature. Kind of want to go in and play with it again. I'll obviously have to repaint that. But it's cool. It's very cool. How high can we get, do we think? Whoa. It's a big cake. Yeah, so obviously if you're resculpting this sort of level, then you need to go in and then break it down and make it look more natural. I guess it's manual erosion is what you're doing. There we go. So how long would that have taken me to model by hand? Like hours. And literally I can get it looking really nice and relatively natural in just a few seconds. Maybe take this one down. Brilliant. Look at that. Alright, so it's a little bit unnatural at the rear here. That's kind of ugly. I'm good, thanks, Ren. Yeah. You've been at Capcom quite a while. I thought you were only meant to be there 3 months. Or maybe maybe time's just going really slowly at the moment. Look at that. How nice does that look? Turn the grass on. Ah, you could press W to exit the mode. So if you're in the mode, just press WE. This is just changing the gizmo mode. Well, let's go ahead and generate a new map. So new. Actually, I haven't tested that in the context of the world stuff, so I need to check that. Let's go and generate a tundra map. I want it to be potentially really high, and I want a lot of trees. I want a lot of clustering, fair amount of variation. I want a decent amount of shrubbery. All right, make me a map. This bit might take a while given how many I specified that I wanted. All right. It should also work on the Grassland Cave Kit, yes. And we have added support for the cave systems. I possibly might have set it a little bit too high. It should time out. Let's cancel that, try something a little bit smaller. Seems to be sticking on something. I wonder if we've got a bug there. I'll send a link to Alan with the settings that I used, and then you can take a look at that. Let's move the height down a little bit. That's often a point of failure. It should sort of come across in a big swathe of rock and stuff, but it's not doing it for some reason. All right, see you, Trum. Okay, that's not working for some reason. I guess we've got a bug. Let's just randomize it. Let's restart. Let's restart the game. Just a reminder that this is an internal dev build. All right, let's try again. cameras below. There we go. All right, so this time it generated one. So let's go ahead and enable terrain sculpting. And as you would expect, it does work with that. I will then jump into the caves. Oops. I can't do anything higher than that at the moment. Why don't you let me go higher? There we go. So it works with that. Let's go and regenerate the terrain. And let's say I want it with grassland caves. Create. I probably want to reduce the height a little bit on that. And we wouldn't want to, it's unlikely we'd want a starter area. Yeah, so there are too many levels on this, so we need to knock that down. And we turn off a starter area. I probably want to change the sea level. Okay, so now if I want to sculpt, this is, I wouldn't start from this position, but I will hold down Control, and then I'll just use that. I can't resolve that for some reason. I wonder if it's because of the water. And I could make my network of tunnels. Oh, because it's I'm holding down Control, aren't I? There we go. Why can't I destroy that? I can't because of that's there. All right. And let's flip round there. All right, and then I probably have to regenerate it. I'll just delete them for now. We'll just get down, and there we've got the start of our cave network. But as I say, I wouldn't start from this position. I would generate a map that had a lot more sort of entwined corridors in it. That is a bug, but I believe if you grab another piece, not that piece, this one here, maybe. Let's see if we're just flipping it around helps. Yeah. Okay, so it does have support for those as well. Let's see what we've got. Swamp I've not really tried it with. Let's have a look at that. Okay. Now obviously swamp really should be flat, but they'll have to do it that way, I suppose. Of course, well, you'd have to clean these up, but I suppose you could just use marquee selection. Oops, no, you wouldn't do that. You'd actually lock tiles first. You could use marquee selection. Just clear the area like that, and then manually clean that area up. Or you could regenerate it. So I suppose what we could do is go to rebuild and keep everything, and just tell it to regenerate the foliage and rocks and things. There we go. So now we don't have lilies on the land. Okay. Cool. So that's a good point to wrap up the stream. We'll be cracking on, working on the next build. As I say, terrain sculpting will be in that build, so it'll give you a chance to experiment with that and let us know your thoughts. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy it, as it's kind of addictive actually. Yeah, and hopefully it'll improve the look of your terrains and also the speed at which you can create them. I certainly know that using it myself, that is the case for me. So yeah, all right. Until the next time then, we will see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.